What is up, guys? This is Jared Spawning here today. Just want to talk about something that I thought was a pretty interesting concept of discussion, and a lot of people would probably there'd be a lot of people on opposing sides, I think, for this thing, but I wanted to just kind of ask the question, does does stacking silver automatically make you a conspiracy theorist? And I know that usually a lot of people really have some strong or have a very strong bias towards that demographic of people who are conspiracy theorists. Either A, there's people, and this is probably the majority of people out there, who, think that every conspiracy theorist is completely crazy and, just someone that you more laugh at than anything else. And then there are the few people that are they believe so strongly in these conspiracy theories that they think that, the whole world's a conspiracy and everyone against them is, part of this giant conspiracy. So I think that there's no really kind of middle ground with this type of thing, whether you are or not one. I think it's really just one side or the other. There's no, I guess no, gray or whatever they say. It's just black and white, and that's really what I feel like this is. So, but I wanted to say honestly, it really depends on the reason why you're stacking silver. Cause you can't just say, oh yeah, I stack silver, so I'm automatically one, or automatically not one. It doesn't really. Not really going to work that way because, what you have to ask yourself, I guess if you want to see if you are a conspiracy theorist or not, ask yourself, what is the reason why I'm stacking silver? What are my intentions? What is my goal? What do I hope to gain from doing this? And let me just give an example of what would make you one and what would not make you one. So, and this is going to be a really extreme example I'm going to give here, but I definitely heard before, and a lot of people, I mean not a lot of people, but a decent amount of people have tried to claim this before, and I've seen it. But, so let's say the whole reason that you're stacking silver, and let's say you want to prepare in other ways too, but that's one of the reasons, this is one of the things you're doing to prepare, is because you believe that Obama is secretly a prominent member of a terrorist group, and that the whole reason he became president is so that right at the end of his presidency, he can launch a massive attack from ISIS or whatever group, but most likely you think it'd be ISIS since it's the most prominent terrorist group right now. And he's becoming president so that he knows all the workings of the United States, all the internet workings, all the secrets that most people don't know. And he's actually going to just allow ISIS to launch a full-scale attack on the United States right before he's not president anymore. And you believe that because of this, what's going to happen is when the U.S. has to fight against ISIS, just like Germany during World War II, you think that the currency is going to become so overinflated that it's worth basically nothing, and you want to have silver and gold to protect your wealth. Well, then obviously you're a conspiracy theorist, because there's no real evidence to prove that Obama is is actually a leader in ISIS. I mean, there's really no facts backing that up. That's more of just something that you kind of are just. I mean, I guess there are certain reasons why people do believe this, but honestly, it's definitely a conspiracy. If that were true, it would have been considered a conspiracy, because that's something that the government would definitely be keeping a secret, or that in this case himself, Obama himself would be keeping a secret, and that no one would know. And since he's the most prominent person in our government, that would be a huge conspiracy if that were true, which I honestly don't believe that's true at all. Personally, I just don't see where there's enough evidence to back that up. But I have heard it before a few times, and so let's just say that's, if that were your reason, then yeah, you'd be a conspiracy theorist. But let's say that your reasoning is like someone like me, right, who is stacking silver because they believe that the system, the way that the government's run, is flawed, but you believe that over time, the way that inflation is working, you believe that that's kind of the hidden tax, but that's where taxes come in here. You believe that really the government, by, overproducing the amount of dollars we have in circulation and not backing them up by anything of real tangible value, you believe that inflation is, in a way, robbing you of your wealth, because over time, the amount of currency that you have is going to become, worth a lot less today than it would have been 30 or even 50 years ago, right? So you think that you want to protect your wealth by putting it into something that doesn't lose value over time, but actually has the potential to gain value over time, then I think in that case, no, you wouldn't really be a conspiracy theorist because, and here's the reason, it's not like the government is trying to tell us that there's no inflation, and that, they say that, oh yeah, inflation doesn't exist, what are you talking about? Then it would be a conspiracy because the government would be lying and trying to cover it up, but they're not trying to cover up the fact that there's inflation. And sure, maybe some facts have been skewed here or there. Maybe their, system for finding inflation is a little more, makes the numbers look a little bit more favorable for them. But pretty much everybody knows about inflation, and especially, in this country, you would know that the United States does have inflation. I mean, pretty much every country is going to have it unless their system of currency is backed by precious metals. So that's obvious, it's kind of a given that there's inflation. And you might say, well, yeah, but isn't the whole conspiracy the fact that you say that the government, is taking your wealth by, having inflation? Well, not really, because, you can definitely prove that. Or at least, at the very least, if you don't want to call it a robbery, if that sounds a little too, harsh, or maybe it does sound more like a conspiracy theorist, you could at the very least say that, well, yeah, my currency is going to be worth less over time than it is, worth right now, because you look at, like I've compared before, 1965, let's say, or I think 1964 is the year that because that's the last year of silver, and that's where you can really see a huge difference in, where money was right around 7 times more valuable. I think the exact figure is like inflation today is 680% on what it was then. So yeah, that's a huge difference in value of your currency. And in 50 years from now, if it did that again, that's going to be losing a lot of value in your currency. So if you started saving currency right now and that's it, then yeah, in 50 years it's going to be worth a lot less. That's a given. But if you put it into precious metals, those don't lose that kind of value over time because it's just not an endless amount of precious metals that can be produced, like currency. So, in that case, really, the facts are there for you. It's just really how you choose to use them. And the government, it's not a conspiracy because the government, it's not like they're trying to hide the facts, but they are mainly relying on the simple thought that most people are not going to really care enough to do anything. Maybe they've certainly heard of inflation, but they don't really look into how bad it is or what it's really affecting too much. So they just kind of, just keep going through their day, and maybe they worry about it a little bit, but they don't really think about it too much. And that's what the government really does rely on. In that sense, is the fact that most people, aren't informed and don't care to be informed in this country, and with any country, not just this one. But that's what they're relying on. People who don't really care to be informed about that type of thing when it comes to inflation and their currency being worth a lot less later on. So it's not a conspiracy, but at the same time, most people aren't going to think about it too much just because of that fact that they really don't want to think about it. They might have things that they consider a lot more important, like keeping a regular job or whatever they have to think about from day to day, and so they think they don't really have enough time to think about the big picture, like something like inflation, which is such a large deal. They think, well, what can I do to stop it anyway? It's there to stay, so what am I going to do? And maybe you can't help everyone, but you can certainly help yourself. And so like I was saying, that's definitely really depends on how you choose to use the facts. But if that's why you're stacking silver, then no, I don't really think that you'd be a conspiracy theorist in that case. An example of maybe you were stacking silver because you lived in a country that was backed by precious metals, and they were saying that, every dollar is backed by 1 ounce of silver, and every $50 is backed by 1 ounce of gold. And you thought that, for some reason, actually every dollar was only backed by half an ounce of silver, and every $25 was backed by 1 ounce of gold, not $50. And so you were getting precious metals because you thought that they were actually going to be ended up being worth twice as much because there's twice as much currency. Then yeah, in that case, you would be a conspiracy theorist because you believe that the government's, flat out lying to you about something. But as long as the reason you're stacking silver is not because of something that would be considered a conspiracy, you're stacking it because of real physical evidence you have, then you're not going to be a conspiracy theorist, And even if you're thinking into the future, like you think, well, a large war might happen, then I still don't really think you should be considered a conspiracy theorist, because wars do happen. I mean, or at the very least, maybe not even a full-out war, but problems do happen at that with other countries, between us and other countries. They're bound to happen. So, you could be thinking that something like that might happen in the future, and it's happened in the past. So, yeah, that's definitely a possibility, and it's not like, the government says, oh yeah, war, that's not a real thing, that never happens. So, again, that wouldn't really be a conspiracy theory. So even if you're thinking towards the future, something that might happen, like an economic collapse, you're not going to be really a conspiracy theorist, because you don't think that there's a flat out lies just being told to you, or something like that. You're just thinking towards the future. You're thinking more than a year or two into the future. And sure, the government probably doesn't even like when people do that. Like, people think more than a couple years into their future, because once people really do start to think that far ahead, then they might realize that the country is not quite as much of a safe haven as it might seem. Right? In the short term, it might look like things are going to go well, but if you look at trends from the past to today, then yeah, you can really see how over time things can really decline, especially our economy can decline and then, incline. It can go up and down really over a long period of time it'll take, but it can definitely, go up or go way down. So, but they're definitely not lying to us about it either. I mean, maybe you believe they are. But anyway, I guess leave your comments down in the comment section below, but I hope you did enjoy the video. But it's just something I wanted to clear up, because some people probably think, that just because you're investing in silver or gold, that automatically makes you a conspiracy theorist or someone who's just completely crazy. And I really wanted to clear that up, at least personally, what I believe. But anyway, that is it for this video. Peace, love, and much respect.